My name is Isabel. I am 25 years old. I come from Madrid, Spain. I speak Spanish at home and at work. In school, I studied English, but I did not speak it much. I could read and write, but real conversation was hard for me. I wanted to learn more. I wanted to speak better. I work in a small office in Madrid. I do the same work every day. I sit at my desk. I type on my computer. I answer emails. I help customers. My life is quiet. I don't travel much. But I wanted to try something new. I wanted to go to a place where people speak English. I wanted to listen, talk, and learn. Looked online for English programs. I found one in San Francisco. The course was for 2 weeks. The classes were for beginners. It was not very expensive. The school looked small, but nice. I read good reviews. I was nervous, but I wanted to go. I asked my boss for time off. I saved money. I bought a ticket. I was ready. I flew to San Francisco on a Sunday. The flight was long. I did not sleep much. I watched 2 movies. I looked out the window. I saw clouds and sky. When we landed, I felt tired but excited. This was my first time in the United States. Everything looked big and fast. I took a deep breath. My English journey was starting. I stayed with a woman named Helen. She was a friend of my teacher. She lived near the English school. Her house was small and clean. It had white walls and many green plants. Helen was kind. She showed me my room. She gave me tea. She spoke slowly. I could understand most of her words. On my first full day, I woke up early. The sun was out. I opened the window. The street was quiet. I got ready. I put on jeans and a blue shirt. I took my small bag. I left the house and started to walk. I wanted to explore the city. I also wanted to try speaking English by myself. I walked past shops, trees, and cars. I saw a man with a dog. I saw 2 girls on bikes. Everyone looked busy. I heard English all around me. I tried to listen. I understood some words, but many people spoke fast. I felt shy. I did not speak. I just walked. After some time, I felt hungry. I looked at my phone. It was almost 12. I wanted to eat. I looked across the street and saw a small diner. The sign said, "Open." The windows were clean. Inside, I saw people eating. Some were talking. Some were drinking coffee. It looked nice. I walked to the door and went inside. A bell rang when I opened the door. A man stood behind the counter. He smiled. I smiled back. I did not say anything. I looked around. There was a table near the window. I walked over and sat down. A woman came to my table. She gave me a menu. She said, "Hello, I'll be right back." Then she walked away. I looked at the menu. It was not very long. I saw a few easy words. I saw grilled cheese. I knew cheese. I liked cheese. I also saw soup of the day, but I did not know what kind of soup. I decided to order the grilled cheese. It looked simple and safe. The woman came back. She smiled and asked, "Ready to order?" I smiled too. I said, "Yes." "Grilled cheese, please?" She wrote it down. Then she asked, "Would you like a refill?" I looked at her. I did not understand. I heard refill, but I did not know that word. I thought maybe she was asking about food. I still had my glass of water. It was full. I did not want more food. I was not sure what to say. I did not want to look stupid. I smiled and said, "No, thank you. I eat this morning." She looked at me. She did not say anything for a second. Then she smiled again. "All right," she said. I felt hot in my face. I looked down. My hands were on my lap. I felt nervous. I knew I said something wrong. I wanted to say more, but I did not know how. I waited in silence. I looked at the people around me. A man was reading a newspaper. A woman was laughing on the phone. Nobody looked at me, but I still felt shy. After a few minutes, the woman brought my food. The sandwich was hot. It smelled good. The cheese was soft. The bread was brown. I took a bite. It was simple, but nice. I ate slowly. I looked out the window. I tried to relax. Then the woman came back to my table. She smiled. "How's the sandwich?" she asked. I said, "It is good. Thank you." She smiled again. "You are not from here, right?" I shook my head. "No," I said. "I come from Spain." She nodded. "Your English is good," she said. "But just so you know, refill means more drink. If your water is low, we bring more." I laughed a little. My face turned red again. "Oh," I said. "I did not know. Thank you." She laughed too. "No problem. That was cute. You are learning. It's okay." Smiled. I felt better. I looked at my glass. It was half full now. I looked up. "Can I have refill?" asked. She gave me a big smile. "Of course," she said. She brought me more water. Said, "Thank you again." She said, "You are welcome. Enjoy your meal." After I finished my food, I paid the bill. I left a small tip. I walked to the door. The bell rang again. The woman waved. "Have a great day," she said. Smiled and said, "You too." Outside, the sun was still bright. I walked slowly back to Helen's house. I looked at the sky. I looked at the people. I felt happy. I made a mistake, but I also learned something new. Now I knew what refill means, and I was not so afraid anymore. That night, I told Helen about the diner. She laughed. "That's a good story," she said. "Now you will always remember that word." She was right. I will never forget it. Before I share the rest of my story, I need to know, where are you listening from? Knowing someone hears me, understands me, gives me strength. The next morning, I woke up early. I opened the window and looked outside. The sun was shining. The sky was blue. I could hear birds near the tree. I felt fresh and ready for the day. I got dressed and packed my small bag. I put my phone, notebook, and water bottle inside. I said goodbye to Helen. She smiled and said, "Have a nice day." I walked to the English school. It was not far. It took only 10 minutes. The school building was white. It had big windows and green plants near the door. I walked in. The woman at the desk smiled at me. "Good morning," she said. I smiled back. "Good morning," I answered. I was nervous but excited. There were 7 other students in my class. One girl was from Japan. A boy came from Brazil. Another girl was from Germany. Everyone spoke a different first language, but we all came to learn English. The teacher's name was Emily. She was kind and patient. She smiled a lot. Emily spoke slowly. She used easy words. She asked us to say our names and where we came from. When it was my turn, I said, "My name is Isabel. I am from Spain," she said. "Welcome, Isabel." That made me feel calm. We learned greetings, numbers, and short sentences. We also practiced speaking with a partner. At first, I was shy. I was afraid to make a mistake. But Emily said, "It's okay to make mistakes. That is how we learn." I liked that. It made me feel better. After class, we all had lunch together. I sat with the girl from Japan. Her name was Yuki. She was also shy, but she smiled at me. I smiled back. We spoke a little. Our English was simple, but we understood each other. It felt good. Later, I walked around the neighborhood. I saw a park with trees and benches. I saw a man walking his dog. I also saw a bookshop, but I did not go in. I was still thinking about the word refill. It stayed in my head. I smiled when I thought of it. That evening, I came home and helped Helen with dinner. We made pasta and salad. She asked me about my class. I told her about the students, the teacher, and my new friend Yuki. I also told her about our speaking practice. "You are doing very well," Helen said. Her kind words made me happy. The next few days were good. I went to class every morning. We learned new words. We listened to short stories. We asked and answered questions. I tried to speak more. I tried to be brave. It was not easy, but I felt stronger each day, One day after class, I wanted to try something new. I wanted to eat at a different place. I walked for some time and saw a new diner. It had a red door and small lights in the window. I liked how it looked. I went inside. The man at the counter smiled. "Table for one?" he asked. I said, "Yes, please." He gave me a menu. I sat down and read it. There were many things I did not know. I saw tuna melt, hash browns, and onion rings. I did not know what to choose. A waiter came to my table. He was tall with brown hair. He smiled and said, "Hi, how are you today?" I answered, "I'm good, thank you." Then he asked, "Can I get you something to drink?" I said, "Just water, please." He brought me the water and gave me more time. I looked at the menu again. I chose a sandwich. When the waiter came back, I pointed to the item. "I want this," I said. He said, "Great choice," and walked away. While I waited, I listened to the people around me. A woman was telling a story. A man was laughing. A child was eating fries. The place felt warm and busy. I liked it. Then something strange happened. A woman at the next table looked at me and smiled. She said, "I like your accent. Where are you from?" I smiled and said, "I am from Spain." She said, "Your English is very good." I said, "Thank you. I try my best." Her kind words made me feel brave. I wanted to say more. We talked for a few minutes. She said she visited Spain once. She liked the food and the sea. I told her I lived near a market and went there on weekends. We laughed together. It felt nice. My food came soon. The sandwich looked big. I took a bite. It was good. I ate slowly and enjoyed the moment. I felt proud. I was alone in a big city. I was speaking English. I was learning every day. After I finished, the waiter came back. He asked, "Would you like a refill?" I knew that word now. I smiled and said, "Yes, please." He smiled and took my glass. I watched him walk to the counter. He filled the glass with water and came back. "There you go," he said. I smiled again. "Thank you," he said. "You're welcome." He looked at me and said, "You speak English very well." I felt my face turn red, but I was happy. "Thank you," I said. I learned little by little. I paid the bill and stood up. I walked to the door. The waiter said, "Have a great day." I turned and said, "You too." I walked outside. The sun was warm. The wind was soft. I felt light. I thought about the day. I made new friends. I tried new food. I used English in a real place. I answered questions. I smiled and talked. I did not stay silent. That was a big step for me. When I got home, Helen was in the kitchen. She was making tea. I told her everything. She smiled and gave me a cup. "You are brave," she said. "Many people are too scared to try." I said, "It's hard, but I want to learn." We sat together in the quiet room. I drank my tea and looked at the light from the window. I thought about tomorrow. I would go to class again. I would see Yuki and Emily. I would speak more. I would learn more. And next time someone said refill, I would smile and say, "Yes, please." On my last morning in San Francisco, I woke up very early. The room was quiet. The sun was not up yet. I sat on the bed and looked at my suitcase. It was almost full. I had one more day in this city. I felt sad and happy at the same time. I went to the window and opened it. The air was cool. I saw a few lights on the street. It was still dark. I took a deep breath. I thought about my first day here. I was scared. I was shy. I was afraid to speak. But now, I felt a little different. I packed my last few things and walked to the kitchen. Helen was already there. She was making tea and toast. She looked at me and smiled. "Morning, Isabel," she said. "Today is your last day." I smiled back. "Yes," I said. "It went so fast." She gave me tea and said, "You did great. I'm proud of you." We sat at the small table. The dog Oliver was near my feet. He looked sleepy. I touched his head. I drank my tea slowly. Helen asked me about my favorite part of the trip. I told her about my class, the teacher, the other students, and the diner. She laughed when I told her the refill story again. "You will never forget that word now," she said. I smiled and said, "Never." After breakfast, I walked to school for the last time. The sky was clear now. The sun was up. I walked slowly. I looked at the trees, the cars, and the people on the street. I knew I would miss this city. At school, Emily greeted me with a big smile. "Isabel, good morning. Ready for your last class?" I said yes, but I felt a little sad. I liked her class. I liked her kind voice and her easy words. She gave me a small paper. It had my name on it. It said, "I finished the course." I felt proud. The other students also got their papers. We took a group photo. We all smiled. I stood next to Yuki. She gave me a small hug. "You are a good friend," she said. I said, "You too." We did not say many words, but we understood each other. After class, I had a few hours before I had to leave for the airport. I decided to visit the diner again. I wanted to eat one last meal in that place. I wanted to see the woman who helped me on my first day. I walked through the streets of San Francisco. It was busy, but I felt calm. I passed the coffee shop, the bus stop, and the small store with fruit outside. Then I turned the corner and saw the diner. The red sign was still there. The windows were clean. The door was open. I walked inside. The small bell rang again. I smiled. The same woman was behind the counter. She looked up and saw me. Her eyes got big. "You?" she said. "You came back." I laughed. "Yes, I said. I leave today, but I wanted to come here one more time. She walked over to me. Same seat? She asked. I said yes. I sat near the window again. The sun came through the glass. The table felt warm. I looked around the room. It looked just like before, but I felt different now. She brought me water. I smiled and said, "Thank you." She smiled back. "No refill today?" she joked. I laughed. "Maybe later," I said. She laughed too. It felt good to talk like this. I looked at the menu. I ordered the same grilled cheese sandwich. She said, "Coming right up." I watched her walk away. I felt peaceful. I remembered my first time here. I was so scared to speak. I did not know what refill meant. I said something funny. But she did not laugh at me. She helped me. She was kind. That gave me courage. While I waited for the food, I thought about my 2 weeks here. I had learned many things. Not only in class, but also outside. I learned to ask questions. I learned to speak slowly. I learned to listen. I learned that mistakes are part of learning. And I learned that kind people make a big difference. The woman brought my sandwich. It was hot and fresh. It smelled the same as before. I took a bite. It was soft and warm. The cheese was just right. I ate slowly. I looked out the window. I saw people walking. I saw a child with an ice cream. I saw a man with a dog. The city was alive. When I finished my food, the woman came back. She looked at my glass and smiled. "Refill?" she asked. I smiled back. "Yes, please," I said. She laughed and took my glass. She came back with cold water. "You speak with more confidence now," she said. "I can see it." I felt shy, but I said, "Thank you. I learned a lot." I paid the bill and stood up. She walked with me to the door. "Good luck," she said. "And keep speaking English." I said, "Thank you for being kind." She gave me a small wave. I waved back. Outside, the sun was strong. The sky was light blue. I walked slowly back to Helen's house. I felt full. Not just from food, but from the whole trip. I felt happy, but I also felt a little sad. It was hard to leave. At Helen's house, my bag was ready. She helped me carry it to the car. We drove to the airport together. We didn't speak much. The music on the radio was soft. I looked out the window and said goodbye to the streets. At the airport, Helen gave me a hug. "Come back one day," she said. "You are always welcome." I said, "Thank you for everything." She smiled. "You were brave. You tried. That is what matters." Then she left. I went through security and found my gate. I sat down near the window. I looked at the big planes. I watched people walk by. I thought about my 2 weeks. I thought about the class, the city, the diner, And the refill. That small mistake on my first day was the start of something big. I made many mistakes, but I also made many memories. I met kind people. I learned real English. I used it every day. I spoke with waiters, teachers, and classmates. I asked questions. I answered with care. Now, I was going home, but I was not the same. I was more brave. I was more open. I was not perfect, but I was learning. And that was enough. I looked outside at the sky. A plane was taking off. I closed my eyes and smiled. I thought, sometimes one small word can change everything. And I knew I would never forget the word refill